Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another match of Super Rugby Pacific. Now, it is currently raining in Christchurch, unfortunately, which does mean maybe the rugby won't quite be as free-flowing as first anticipated for these two sides, but it is a New Zealand derby. It's the Crusaders at home, taking on the Blues. And this game is so crucial, not just for the Crusaders if they want to stay top of the table, but also for this Blues side who are still yet to quite find their feet in the Super Rugby comp. Their win rate at the moment is less than 50%. A win here would take it that little bit closer, but they do need to make sure that they win this contest. It is pouring down, as that angle just shows. It is bucketing in Christchurch, so hopefully we get to see a decent game of rugby. Overall, looking through at what happened last week, the Crusaders, they were able to get themselves a big win away from home up against the Hurricanes, the Waratahs, beating the Chiefs, which is why the Crusaders at the end of that day did sit at the top of the table. The Blues having a good win over Moana Pacifica, 36 points to 17. The Highlanders beating the Drua, and then the Brumbies away from home at Suncorp getting the win to keep them in the top six as well. Looking through though at the lineups for this contest. First of all, the home side, the Crusaders, once again looking strong. It will be Tamaiti Williams in the front row alongside Cody Taylor and Fletcher Null. So Moana Nu will make his way off the bench even after such a great game that he did play last week. Scott Barrett and Antonio Shalfoon will be the locking duo. Cullen Grace, Ethan Blackadder and Christian Leo Willie as a loose forward trio. Hotham and Kamara will be the 9-10 with David Havili and Levi Amua in the middle. Then Sevu Reece, Jake Biaki and Will Jordan at number 15 for the Blues. They have gone with Josh Fusitua in the starting jersey for this contest. Ricky Riccatelli and Ta'avao will join him in the front row. Tui Pelotu and Bury in the locking duo. And then you've got Anton Segner, Dalton Papali and Hoskins Atutu. Three men that in these rainy conditions, they're going to have to be hitting the breakdowns. They're going to have to be physical. As they were talking to Ryan Crotty just before the game, he said that they're looking to win those individual battles out there on the park. And I think that the loose forwards, somewhere that we're definitely going to see a lot of throughout this matchup. Finley Christie and Bowden Barrett will be the 9-10 combination. AJ Lamb and Rico Ioane, who recently announced he's going to be having a sabbatical in Leinster or at Leinster for up till 2026, I believe it is. So deciding he wants to do what Geordie Barrett has just done. Mark Talia, he's decided he wants to do what many ex-All Blacks have done, and that is go to Japan. Cole Forbes out on the right wing. Little bit of a reshuffle there for the Blues, and then Zahn Sullivan at number 15. Right, in the chat, we have got Let's Go the Mighty Blues from Kiwi Rob. We have got Come On Kiwi Lads, Wake Up, says Spider Mick, and hi everyone, says Spider Mick there. And just an FYI, LA7's games are up, but they certainly are, and I'm disappointed in them because they've decided to put pretty much all of those promotion relegation games on at pretty much the same time, which does mean that we can't be, of course, covering two games at once, and it does mean that, sadly, for those lower teams, they're going to miss the opportunity of getting the exposure on the World 7 circuit. Hi, Hamish, I'm thinking of a close game. I'm going to Nelson for Easter, says Kevin there. We have got the Crusaders to win, says Chris. Hi, Hamish, says Daniel, welcome in. And it's better for the comp of the Blues to win. Drag back the Crusaders to the back, says Inouye. And this, like I said, it's a very crucial game for the Blues. They have only got limited contests left. And yes, we've got quite a few weeks and a lot can change. But like I said, showing this table, if they were to lose this game, let's say, and then, for instance, if the Hurricanes beat the Force, you know, if the Highlanders can somehow pull an upset up off against the Chiefs, then you find yourself with a big gap to climb. Because, of course, only the top 6 go through, not the top 8 like we saw last year. The Blues have still got time, but I don't think they can afford to lose 2 or 3 more games this season. And if they do that, there is a big chance that they could find themselves missing out. But I do still think the playoff rugby side of things will be better if the Blues are there. We saw what they were able to do in the important contest last year, so they just have to get there to be able to prove it. I found the Crusaders Marvel top, says Chris, and if the Blues win this, comp will be on fire, says Smash Brew. What's your opinion on the final last night? Says Kiwi Rob. I assume you're talking the Blues Waratahs one, if that is the one you're talking. A little bit disappointing that it wasn't closer, just because I feel like if it was close, then there would have been more of an argument for a Super Rugby Aupiki and Super Rugby AU combined comp, which I know they're still working towards eventually, but Yeah, it would have been nice for it to be as close as the final was for Super Rugby Aupiki, because that way then that builds into the kind of women's Bledisloe side of things and also just adds a lot more hype for a new competition. But at the moment, with the result, I don't think they quite got what they wanted from it. But it was a very good win for the Blues nonetheless, and they're showing that they're a very strong side at the moment too. But they are just showing that top six, 4 of the 6 are Australian sides. The bottom of the bunch, Moana Pacifica and the Fijian Rua are sitting at the bottom 2 at the moment. We are on CSI. We are very close to the start of this contest, only about 3 minutes away or so. And we have got the evening lads, says Obi, in there. And Aupiki Blues just too good, Emmy, says Spider Meek. And yeah, it's a little bit similar to what we saw for the Crusaders men's side a few years ago. How it just seems like they're going to be winning more times than not. Now, this current Crusaders group, they've actually found some very nice form this year. Do you think, or who do you think the wet conditions favour? It's a tricky one, because I do think that this game, every once in a while, there's going to be a big breaking opportunity, and that is where someone like a Bowden Barrett for the Blues normally can find that rhythm, or Will Jordan at 15 for the Crusaders might be able to find something magical. But yeah, I do think the forwards are going to be so crucial. Lineouts, trying to retain those without having too many troubles. I know that there was a lot of pressure on the lineouts last week for both sides. Marble top isn't cheap either. I imagine it's not. It's probably like 150 at least, I would say. They normally like to bump up the prices for the kits. At the end of the season, you probably get it for $30, but during the season, they love to really put that price up. They are just showing that midfield combination, AJ Lamb, Rico Ioane. Of course, it was confirmed that Ioane going to Leinster, which brings a bit of uncertainty around this Blues backline. Of course, Bryce Heem will be back at some point from his injury, so hopefully he is able to do something substantial next season. Got Talia maybe going overseas, so that leaves a bit of a gap, and maybe that's why we are seeing Talia move to 11 this week rather than Caleb Clark, and then we see Cole Forbes getting that chance. $160 at Otago Sports Depot, Mish, says Chris. So yeah, about what you would expect for the special kit. David Harvilli going to be leading his side out. I did see earlier on today that apparently there's like a David Harvilli Rubik's Cube situation going on at the ground, how some blokes are building them out of Rubik's Cubes like they have for Richie McCaw in the past, which will probably sound like a very strange statement, but I guess you have to believe me. Looking through at the benches, ladies and gents, for this contest as well, just as these two sides get ready to make their way onto the field. Dallas McLeod and James O'Connor as the back replacements, alongside Kyle Preston, the hat-trick hero from one of the earlier rounds of Super Rugby. Then Kello, Hannah, Sykes, Martin, Bauer, and also Moananu, who is looking like an AB's bolter at the moment with the form that he's been in, and also maybe the lack of form that we've seen from other hookers around New Zealand too. For the Blues, they've got Eklund, Tupai, and Tui Pelotu as their front rowers. Alongside that, Lachlan McWannell, Suafoa, and Choate. So they have gone with the 6-2 split with Funaki and Plummer as their lone replacements for the backs. Severu Reece currently sitting with 5 tries versus the Blues. Need one more try to equal the Super Rugby try scoring record. So he is getting extremely close to that. They make a donation to I Am Hope when they sell the jersey. I think so. I also know that some of those sides for their special kits and whatnot, they were doing the donating to kids. It might have been Kids Can. I could be wrong though. Could be very wrong. So not sure. How many games do you think you will be doing? The LA Sevens. Do you think Robertson should pick Talia, considering he has confirmed that he's gone at the end of the year? Well, I think that for Scott Robertson, if a guy's going overseas at the end of this year, there's no point selecting him. Like, yes, you could look at it as if he's the best guy for the job, you could. But at the same time, you also have to look at what are you doing next year when he's gone. Who's your guy to replace him? So that's now when I believe you have to work towards that, rather than saying, oh, well, we've got him for now, and then we'll give it a go. And I don't think anyone would really disagree at the moment for Mark Talia. Much better season last year for Super Rugby than this year. And I think that that's actually been said about a few of those guys in that Blues backline. So, like, based off form, I don't even think Talia is first pick in terms of that number 11 or 14 jersey at the moment, based off Super Rugby Pacific. So, yeah, I think the time to switch him out, give one of those younger guys, you know, a Leroy Carter or a Caleb Tangitau or any of those guys that will be at least sticking around by the looks of it. But now, just about ready for the kickoff, ladies and gents. The Mighty Williams standing in front of Rieko Ioane. You can hardly see him on the camera angle. I know you're back in. I just hope it's close. Like, these two sides, the first time that they met, the Crusaders won it relatively comfortably. But I do think that it's better if they have a really competitive game here and go down to the wire. Tillian, no, he's not getting picked. Reason why he's leaving, says Spider-Mick. Yeah, he's done exactly what the smart players do, and that is when they feel like they're not going to get international minutes, go overseas, take that money deal while it's there, because when you've played for the All Blacks recently, you've got that name value. You know, they can put you down as ex-All Black Mark Delia, and everyone will use that as the bargaining power, if that makes sense. So it's just smart from him. Same what Harry Plummer did. Same what we'll see quite a few other players. Oh, that was taken in the air, but it was Rieko Ioane tackling his own teammate. And it's a penalty now. So it was actually obstruction. Ioane must have been in front. He's saying he was pushed. Nick Berry is saying that if you were onside in the first place, you wouldn't have been pushed into him. Which seems quite harsh, but it is the interpretation from Nick Berry there. Caleb Tangitau is super fast. He'll be a good replacement for Talia, says Smash Proof. Yeah, deceptively strong as well, Caleb Tangitau. There have been a couple weeks where we haven't really gotten to see him, but yeah, Sever Reese just pushed Rieko straight into his teammate Zahn Sullivan. Who's kicking off, and what side are the Crusaders running? Crusaders running from right to left. And they have currently got themselves the line out 15 metres out from the opposition line. Now looking for the rolling maul. Looks like it's at the back for Christian Leo Willie. Just trying to apply that little bit of extra pressure at rolling maul time. Put the Blues on the back foot. Good tackle on David Arvili by AJ Lamb, as well as Rieko Ioane. Pick and go from Noah Hotham one-on-one. And Christie manages to drag him down. Now around the side, the Crusaders looking very focused at the moment for the burst. Couple of minutes. Blackadder gets once again very close to the try line. Now, the defence inside of their own 22, I was about to say, has been a bit shaky for the Blues, and they have conceded to Mighty Williams. And we have got the Super Ref again, says Spider-Mick. And who's kicking off on what side? Oh no, I read that one. Hello, says Chad. And we have got the Good Luck Blues, says Blues Nate. And there's well, but nice pick and go from Noah Hotham just to get those few extra metres for the Crusaders just out from the goal line. And then it's the pick and go short side from to Mighty Williams that leads to the first initial try. And yeah, as much as they wanted to stop him, when he gets his body position right to Mighty Williams, it is very hard to slow that man down. 2.5 minutes in already. Kamara will get the opportunity to kick. Now, often he is trying to strike them from right to left, and unfortunately often has actually missed from about here. He doesn't quite get his angle right at times, but in rainy conditions, it looks pretty good. It's gone straight down the middle from him. So I don't know what he's done throughout the week, but it certainly looks like it's helped out, and that will make the score now 7-0 at the moment. Other refs should get the 2-week treatment as the players are banned for 2 weeks, says Spider-Mick. Yeah, I have to say, last week for Super Rugby, this is going to sound harsh, but at the same time, it maybe needs to be said. I think last week was the worst weekend of Super Rugby refereeing we have seen in quite some time. So hopefully this week's a lot better. So Rieko is stuffed up already, says Smash Proof. He did concede the initial penalty that then cost them about 40 metres, and then they scored. And no more spam bots. No more trolls for now, says Blues Nate. And Hamish has been a very long time, says Xavier. Well, it is great to have you back on the channel once again. Oh, little knock on the ground from Noah Hotham. And does now give the Blues the opportunity at a scrum about 25 metres out from the Crusaders line. He was trying the pick and go again there, Hotham. And that's the thing, like, he's fighting for his AB spot as well. Because at the moment, you know, people were saying Roygaard's in. People mentioning about Xavier Rowe. Cortez Ratama, of course, was there last year. You've got even Preston's name was thrown around for about a week when he was able to score that hat trick. But Someone like a Noah Hotham, he's had a couple minutes in that AB's kit before and would love a lot more than that. Now, looks like the Blues, they've got 5 on this near side for the scrum and just the 1 on the far side, which I believe would be Mark Dallaire. Pack weight's pretty close to identical, just a 1 kg in it, 929 of the Blues, 928 of the Crusaders. Morning, chaps. We supporting the Blues today, says on the right. For the sake of the competition, the Blues winning here would be a lot better for the overall standings. If the Crusaders win, they've got first place and they'll have quite a hefty lead kind of over anyone else. But yeah, it would certainly test the Blues if they were to lose this game, because from here, they pretty much just have to keep on trying to go from strength to strength and win most of their remaining contests. Now that one's going to be fed in. Nicely done by Christie just to make sure that that ball came back out, and now they have the decision to make. They will go off to the right-hand side to AJ Lamb, sitting 22 metres out from the line, so 2-2 with the pick and go. Roy Gard hasn't been playing that great lately, but proven in the black jersey. And that's the big question mark, isn't it? How much of Robertson is going to be based off this season's form, and how much is going to be based off, Nick Berry almost having to join that breakdown. He found himself in the wrong place, wrong time. But yeah, how much is going to be based off what someone has done last year in the All Blacks jersey? Such as perfect example of that, I believe, is Caleb Clark. He hasn't scored many tries at all this year. He hasn't had the ball much at all either. But when he puts on that All Blacks jersey, he was one of the pick of the players, and actually one who you couldn't really afford to take out of that 11 jersey last season. Are you going to stream Warriors Broncos tomorrow? No. Only because Highlanders Chiefs has taken place at the same time. And chill back with the Americans live streamers, we get paid. Wait, chill back with the Americans live streamers, we get paid. Maybe go AFA and they all come back. I might do that go at MIA, says Nate. I am slightly confused about what you're talking about, Nate. I'll be honest. I was trying to put it together and I wasn't too sure what was going on. Now Ricky Riccatelli, line out throw here, only 5 metres out from the Crusaders line. A very good position if they can get it right, but it's stolen by the Crusaders. Christian Leo Willie able to clean it up, and that is exactly what they needed there. The Blues, if they had managed to pull that one down, they probably would have scored. That one won't find touch though. Talia goes off to Zahn. Sullivan passes it back to Talia. Does get tackled by Noah Hotham and Cody Taylor. Christie back across to the right-hand side to Anton Segnan. Another good tackle made by Mikey Williams. Being told to use it again. When was the last time the Blues beat the Crusaders? Curious. I think it was last year, wasn't it? If I'm correct. I don't think it's as long as people think it is, but I believe they beat them last season. Did they beat them twice last season or just the once? Because let's not forget, the Crusaders last year were pretty ordinary at times, I think is the best way of putting it. The penalty is going to go the way of Christian Leo Willie and the Crusaders. We'll just go here. So Blues versus Crusaders. Oh no, Crusaders beat them in the 25th of May round. 29 points to 27. And then I believe they played earlier in the season. And I want to say that the Blues beat them 26 points to 6. That was on the 23rd of March last year. So they won at home and then they lost away. So in this case, they've already lost at home for the Blues. So maybe the win away is going to be the continuation of the chain. Cody Taylor now throwing that one in. Oh. Okay, Nick Berry's said there that the Crusaders had the wrong numbers at line-out time. Do you have an Easter egg? I do not know. I got my parents one each though, but I didn't actually get myself one. I possibly should have, but oh, nice steal from Tui Pelotu. I guess Ta'aval managing to claim that one against the throw, or at least after it was stolen. A very good afternoon, everyone. And Hamish from Brisbane. Sorry I'm late. Blues till the end, Says James going to be kicked downfield from Finley Christie towards the halfway line. Goes through the hands of Kamara. Though they've said that there was half a knock on there. In fact, there might have been another one. This looks like Papali might have a bit of an injury here. Like Tamaiti Williams was helping him back to his feet, but not what the All Blacks will be after, any sort of injuries in that loose forward trio. Right, the mark is made. I've just said there about how they don't give you any time. We saw a scrum last week for the Crusaders. How I believe it was it Ethan Blackett who tried to make his way onto the field, and then they said, no, we need to hurry up. You should get the Crusaders Marvel top, says Chris Hayes. I don't actually have the Crusaders regular top either, but I don't, like, if I was going to get one of them, honestly, I'd probably get the one from, was it last year where they had the mountains on the front? I feel like that would be, out of all the Crusaders kits of late, like, that's the one that I've liked the most. Tell me if Canes can win in the four-time ground. What's the bold call? It's an interesting one, because Hurricanes on paper, I would say, should win. But the way that they've been playing, you know, they've been close in a few games and they've let it slip. So I just wonder whether or not it would be the same in this scenario. Outside, not so good, Emmy. Wind, raining, and a bit chilly, says Spider Mick. And it's still raining here, says John in the far north. How the weather conditions for the game. It is pouring down, unfortunately. So it does mean that, yeah, a relatively wet game is going to be in front of us. We have got another scrum. There will be a few of those throughout this match as well, I should mention, with the wet conditions. It looks like Papali is going to continue in this game, so that is good news for the Blues here. I feel a win coming tomorrow, says Highlanders will win Super Rugby 2025. Up against the Chiefs. That's going to be a tough game, but we did see last week in the game up against the Tars, the Chiefs had a lot of errors. Now AJ Lamb round the halfway line, driven backwards by Noah Hotham, of all people. Counter ruck coming from the Crusaders, and they've managed to get the steal at the moment. They are winning the physicality battle, which is exactly what Crotty said that they wanted to do before this contest. Will Jordan going for the kick in behind. Sever Reese getting up very quickly, and it's gone out. It's at a 50-22. What's the call here from the ref? It's a 50-22 for the Crusaders, as it was touched by Blue. And hi everyone from Reunion. Says Young, welcome in. And AJ Lamb runs it straight at who he thought would be the easy target, and Noah Hotham. And Havili managed to get in there as well, just to keep on pushing him back. Then the counter ruck from the Crusaders. They are looking the real deal in this first 10 minutes. But the Blues, they managed to get themselves one line out steal. They weren't able to do it again there. Now moving up to 20 metres out from the line. Pick and go from Reese. Makes maybe 1 metre if he was lucky, as he was met by a wall of Blues defence. Knocked on by the Crusaders. I think it was Culling Grace. It just slips through his fingertips. It will now be a scrum again to the Blues. Come on, ref, twice now, says Spider Mick. Which penalty are you calling for? I assume the line out, is it? I can't watch your streams anymore due to me getting Sky Sports, says Max Cottle. That is completely fine and understandable, Max. And it'll be top of the table at the end of the season. That's a brilliant question that at the moment I just don't know. Like, if the Crusaders continue the form that they're in at the moment, they've got a very good shot. The Chiefs are still right up there, and if they can get a few more wins, they've got some hard games to go, but they could find themselves at the top of the bunch. But I honestly think it will be one of those two sides. I don't think, well, there's still a few more Aussie derbies for some of those Australian teams, but yeah, I just see it being either Chiefs or Crusaders. But I'm not 100% who it's going to be. I put Sky Sports on mute and listen to TKL. That's what I do, says James. Morning, Hamish. How you doing the URC games this week? Sorry for missing that one, Johan. Yes, that is the plan. I do see that Eben Etzebeth is going to be back for the Sharks, which is an absolutely massive one for them. So we'll be covering that one on the channel. And then also There might be one game of the URC that I have to miss, just because if we do all of the games tomorrow as Super Rugby plus the URC, it would be 7 matches in a row. Are you sacrificing your Easter to cover some games? Yep. Pretty much from that statement, you'll probably know I'm tied up through streaming for, I think, pretty much all of tomorrow, and I probably need to rest for Sunday. So, yeah, we're going to be pretty flat out, I would say. Nice kick from Will Jordan, although it might go dead. Big steep bounce, and it does roll. Too far for Will Jordan. Didn't quite get the bounce of the ball that he was after. He apologises to his teammates. Happy Easter. Have a blessed day, guys. See, here's Anthony right back at you. I mean, in Fiji, says Rock. Waratahs get their first win tomorrow, I reckon. Yeah, well, that's the thing. The Drua, I don't think have been consistent enough this season, but then that's been a talking point for the last couple years of whether or not they can put it together in the ones that matter. Now, at home, they've got a pretty good record, but away from home, they've gone about 2.5 years without a win. All 4 games you're streaming tomorrow. I honestly haven't decided yet. I think I'm going to be making the decision after the Sharks versus Edinburgh game, which is going to be finishing at about 8:30 a.m. tomorrow morning. Then from there, I'll decide whether or not. I think if we were going to miss any game, see, I don't want to pick favourites, but I do think if we were going to miss any of the contests, it would probably be Brumbies Moana Pacifica, just so that during that period, it's like the best time to be able to cook tea and get all that stuff organised. But the Blues in possession now, 40 metres out from the line. Nice spin from Dalton Papali'i. He's chopped down by Noah Hotham again. I don't know who's talked to him before this game or this week, but he seems like he's playing way better than we've seen him in the past few weeks. Noah Hotham just in this first 10 minutes. And maybe it is because it's a New Zealand derby. Lots of people think that Maya Rus is Maori Hemi. She's not. She's Cook Island American descent. Says Spider Mick, I'm not religious, so going to be a liquor long weekend, says Tonian. Yeah, we got plenty of rugby on, that is for sure. It's probably a good thing that the sevens aren't also taking place. Bowden Barrett going for the kick across field, and it goes out on the full. That's the first time Bowden's touched the ball, I believe. Or at least the first time that I can think of, other than maybe like before passing it off to someone at the time of a scrum. Rate my meal, Hamish. Boiled eggs, tomato and cucumber. Sounds all right. Sounds like a healthy egg salad type of situation. Anything else with it, like a dressing or like maybe some cheese or something, James? Or is it just that? And just before the questions start, yes, Will Jordan is playing, says Jason. The sad thing is we haven't seen anyone ask about if Will Jordan is playing and he's actually playing. But there's still time. Of course, Noah Hotham about to kick this one high for the Crusaders. Sevu Reece chasing after it. Bowden Barrett takes it just outside of his 22 and now gets another touch of possession. Looks for the pass. Doesn't find anyone initially, but it bounces to Mark Talia. How did you fix your sneezing thing? I don't see you sneezing anymore. What's the remedy, I should say. It's been pretty drizzly today, so I don't think hay fever's really been kicking in today. Is about the only explanation, just because I'll probably end up sneezing tomorrow. Instead, salt and pepper, mate, just trying to cut down the garbage I'm eating. Well, it sounds like a healthy meal overall, so hopefully it tastes all right. Sevu Reece. Now, going back across to the right-hand side here. Good hands from Kamara. It worked well up until he passed it to absolutely no one. And the Blues now with the counter-attack. Rieko Ioane tries to step. Another low tackle made by Noah Hotham. Now, off to the left, Bowden Barrett gets it away to Mark Talia. Another tackle made by Hotham. He's on fire at the moment, and the ball was stolen in the breakdown from Levi Moore. Now, he won the turnover, says Nick Berry, and then he went into touch. So he didn't win the penalty. Who do you think wins this game? I think that for the Blues to have a good chance, they really need to be the next team to score, which they're in a perfect position at the moment. Do New Zealand teams have any team songs chance? War cries, example, Northampton Saints sing when the Saints come marching in. Certain sides have like team anthems, I guess you could call them. But, yeah, it's not that common. Like, normally it's only the sides in the changing sheds when they sing it type thing. Now we have got our new member from Tala. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciated. You now have access to those emojis on the channel, which we will have to add a few more in the very near future. Going off to the left-hand side now for Anton Segner. Blues currently find themselves 15 metres out from the line. That ball's bouncing around, but the Crusaders have conceded the penalty. Just having a giggle and trying to give you an energy boost during your long but appreciated great work you're doing, says Jason. And come on, ref, ball's stolen, says Spider-Mix. So the Blues have got themselves the penalty. Now they've got a decision. And that is what to do here. Looks like Beauden Barrett's going to be kicking this one towards the sideline. Blues are staying aggressive. Who's your pick to win this season? It's actually a tricky one. It's going to sound harsh, but I do think it's going to be a New Zealand side. And yes, at the moment, there are 4 Australian sides within the top 6, but I just don't know if we've seen enough from some of those Aussie sides. Like, I think that on their given day, the Brumbies, the Reds, the Tars even, have got a really good shot of beating sides, but it's whether or not they can do it week in, week out. During the playoff short side there for Hoskins, Satutu only 2 metres out from the try line. Pick and go. Fusi Tua is over. And they will score the try there. The Blues, 2 props are the ones who have scored so far. Christian Leo Willie seems to be having a really good season, says John, and welcome, Tyre. And also the Pond teams always sing, but their rugby not as good as they're singing. Oh, hang on, Nick Berry. This seems like a TMO check. Okay, after the Satutu run, there was possibly a knock-on. I think was the call from the referee there. Oh. Right, Papali tried to pick that ball up. And then I think it might have slipped through the fingertips. They're going to check this one. See whether or not Papali did have that crucial error. Right, they are just checking it. Oh, okay, Nick Berry just straight away said, Beauden, it's going to be no try. There's a knock-on in the build-up, which there is, but I'm sure the TMO's comment was, we're just going to quickly check that, rather than straight up no try. But does mean once again the Crusaders will have that little bit of a lifeline. Okay, Justin Marshall playing advocate there for the Blues, saying that there might have been a Crusaders hand in there that should have possibly not been there. I can hear 2 cents of Tony swearing from my place in Sydney. Says Glenn Woods. Yeah, that Crusaders Blues rivalry, it's built up quite a bit in recent times. But Papali not quite able to hang on to that one. He probably would have liked to go for the pick and go around the side himself there, but already a quarter of the way through this contest. It's been flying by for a Friday night game. In fact, it's been going that quick. I think that this is probably our only legitimate stoppage of the clock, with the exception of that injury. Time off, what's the problem, says Nick Berry to the front rows, and Tamaiti Williams is laughing, so something's gone on. Okay, it sounds like both front rows are giving different opinions to Nick Berry as well. The Blues lost, ref and TMO to blame, says Spider-Me. I mean, that was a knock-on though, wasn't it? I think we'd all agree with that one. The Aussie teams are better than this, but you've got to get home advantage for the playoffs to have any chance. Yeah, I agree. I think that if the Australian sides, the likes of like the Brumbies at GIO Stadium, would be extremely hard to beat in a playoff game. But if they're away from home, it's going to be that little bit more challenging. Although saying that, the Brumbies have beaten the Highlanders and the Blues this season when they've been in New Zealand. So maybe they do have a chance. Beauden didn't go into his shell. If he finds stuff up, or if he stuffs up, good EQ and IQ. Says Simon, that one's gone into touch from the Crusaders. A very nice kick. Now the Blues will have themselves the line out about 32 metres out. Kiwi Rob be like Guru the ref, says Demo. At the moment, we've got Spider Miku as Guru the ref in this case. Alberto Dalton Pepper is good for your food. Now thrown in, nicely taken by Anton Segner. Tuipolotu tries to run, gets the offload to Talia. As they move up to 22 metres out from the line, a pick and go from Josh Berry. Another tackle made by Hotham. Oh, okay, that's actually going to be a penalty advantage against Hotham, and that is for him not wrapping his arms in the tackle attempt on the big lock. Anton Segner, pick and go short side. Blues find themselves back where they were only moments ago when they had their disallowed try. Satutu, bit of a rough pass, but Barrett does well to shovel it on now. Cross kick, or at least shape for it. Will pass it across instead to Sullivan. Doesn't pass it one more. Now off to the left-hand side to Fusitua. Almost had himself the try, Satutu. Tackled low by Christian Leo Willie, his opposite number. Now Tuipolotu shuffled on again by Barrett. It's getting ugly for the Blues back line. They'll go back for the original penalty. The ref is cool. Says NRL fan. 9 red, no attempt to wrap. So that is against Noah Hotham, who hasn't really done too much wrong today. I'll be disappointed about that one, as he's probably already made about 7 other tackles that were legitimate. Just ends up getting that one wrong, though. On out throw for the Blues, 5 metres out from the line. They have decided to opt for the corner multiple times in this first half, rather than taking on threes. That time, it is going to be Clayton. Christie goes across to AJ Lamb, who they will once again just throw at the Crusaders' defence. Christie back across to the right-hand side. That was obstruction from Ricky Riccatelli. He actually got himself in front, and it looks like the Crusaders very close to getting the steal. Back across to the right-hand side to Tuipolotu. Almost able to outstretch Talia's in there, but I don't think he should be. I think you want to leave that to your forwards. Talia plays half, goes back across to Josh Berry. Now, around the side, getting close again. Only 1 metre out from the line for the Blues. Fusitua trying to get back that try that he was denied. Pick and go. That looked very close. Right. I believe it was Papali'i here. But on-field decision is try. I think they just want to check to make sure that there is a grounding. Hey, good evening, Kiwi Rob. Says James and also 2 Cents and Tony are doing a watch-along, and they're on the Bears. It was pretty messy already when the game had only just started. And hello, I hope you're all well, says Sebastian. Welcome in, mate. Yeah, hopefully you're excited for all of the rugby that we got on this weekend. Just checking this one to see if Papali'i has got the grounding. Right, so Fusitua goes down. Oh, no, it was Josh Berry, sorry. That looked all right, I think. So it's just whether or not he is short of the try line for Josh Berry. This is very close. You could say very close, but you won't. But that is, I think he's over. I think he's got a grounding there, Josh Berry. Benefit of the doubt, I believe, will go the way of the Blues because on-field decision was try. Now, he hasn't got a huge amount of control of that, but he's used his body to press it. So I think it will be a try here for the Blues, and I think they're now back into the contest. Who should win this one? Crusaders came in as favourites, but the Blues are a tough team. They are the defending champs. Oh, the TMO's gone. They are waiting to hear from him, and I don't think Nick Berry can hear him. And Blues Day says Bhavani. So like they're saying, they would need to find clear and conclusive evidence to overrule it. Nick Berry has just said, I think I've lost you. Oh no, TMO's here. You can award the try, and the Blues now are going to be back into it. Right, thumbs up there. Josh Berry gets the first try of the match for the Blues. Alistair's coming back from France this year. He certainly is. He's been in some decent form over there for Toulon, but we'll be interested to see if he wants to make a run for that All Blacks jersey. Hamish, brother, your thoughts on Rico Ioane's demise? Well, he's going to Leinster. He's announced 6-month sabbatical. Going to join the Leinster boys in the near future. So, I mean, we've seen Jordie Barrett be slightly out of form for New Zealand. Went over to Leinster, and his game, now he's playing some of the best rugby he ever has. And yes, when you're on a side like Leinster who are constantly winning their games, it's probably pretty easy to play well. But, yeah, it will be very intriguing to see how he goes for the Leinster midfield. Is Mark Delia playing today? He certainly is. He's also announced that he will be going overseas, but to Japan rather than to Ireland. Score now sitting 7-7 after Barrett got that conversion 25 minutes in. When is Jordie coming back, if ever? I believe he is back after the URC season, so I want to say he won't be available for the... Tell you what, he might be available for the July internationals, but I think more so Rugby Championship, he'll definitely be in the running. He'll be missed, gone so young. Says Sebastian. Nicely done by Talia in the regather, but he did knock it on initially. Will now be the Crusaders scrum. 2 cents is a good bugger. Says it's smash proof. And it's all mate now back to Even Stevens. At some stage, I will have to try and make the trip up to Auckland, I would say, for the old 2 cents gets distracted podcast. Finley Christie's rocking an interesting hairstyle at the moment. He's gone for the mullet, but it doesn't quite look like a mullet at the moment. And try now for the Crusaders, not convincing, says Young. Expecting some more players to come back for 2026, even Richie Moonga. As a construction business, Hamish, it's going all right. There's a bit of weather problems at the moment. Managed to pour concrete on Wednesday, I think. Or Tuesday, one of the 2 days. Now sitting about 40 metres out from the line. I would show you my hands for the blisters, but they're a bit violent looking, so might not be the best idea. There's going to be no clear release from AJ Lamb, who is shaking his head. He's not happy about it, but it means that the Crusaders have now got the choice of 3 or 7, and they are going to go for the 3. Do you have a toilet on site? Nah. It depends on where you are, though. Like, you're never far enough away that you're too concerned. Like, worst comes to worst, you can normally drive home within a 10-minute period. Also, Kira Ioane, you haven't seen him in a hot minute. Yeah, he is currently still in Japan, I believe. I go, mate, show us the scars of a tradie. And also, Drew Hamish, you're featuring on 2 cents up in the Auckland Knights at some point. We're not really sure when it will be, but hopefully in the near future at some point. Distance for this one, Kamara. He is sitting 1 from 1 at the moment, 100%. Can he keep it that way? He struck it well. It's got the distance, and he's missed. Away to the right-hand side, so that will keep the score as 7 points to 7. As Buttermeat not moaning about ref suddenly, says Young. And he's missed it, says Kiwi Rob in there as well. Bowden Barrett kicks it straight down the middle of the field. Will Jordan goes off to Christian Leo Willie, who will build up some speed. Moving up to the halfway line. Kamara kicking is not as bad today, says Tanner, as he just unfortunately missed his first kick. Covering the Wars versus Bronx. I am not, no. We are going to be covering Chiefs versus Highlanders. But we might be able to give a few little updates of the other game as well. We don't need outside player Hammy. We have all the players here who give their all, says Spider Mick. Now off to the right-hand side again. Nice take from Fletcher Null. About 30 metres out from the line. Hotham will look to shift this one right again. A little bit of hesitation there from the Crusaders, just trying to find that next gap. Anyone else miss Kevin Mialamu, says James. I mean, the Blues have had some brilliant players in the past. Nice stepping from Harvili. I remember actually seeing Kevin Mialamu in Auckland, which wasn't a surprise as he was living there at the time. Now 7 phases in. Drop ball. I'm not sure who that was. Looks like Christian Leo Willie just looking up rather than looking at the ball. The best club team in the world right now is... I mean, I feel like no matter how you answer it, someone will complain about it. For me personally at the moment, based off form, like, it's hard to say like other than Leinster or Toulouse. Those are your two sides I think that not many people would argue about. But, you know, some of the Gallagher Premiership sides are doing not terribly at the moment. The Saints in particular, they've made it through to the semi-finals of the Champions Cup. He lives in Manukau, says James Martin. And Toulouse, this was like 15 years ago, I should clarify, rather than now. Going off to the right-hand side. Little kick in behind from Bowden Barrett. Oh, Lamb tried to go in behind again, and it's going to be shoveled up for Bowden Barrett again. Now, Ricky Riccatelli manages to break through a challenge. The Blues moving into the 22. Oh, Severy's told to get out of it. Zahn Sullivan. I'm not sure whether first receiver is the best role for him. That's gone through the ref's legs. And a little bit slow getting the ball, so it does mean that the Crusaders... Oh, tries to pick and go. Nick Berry is there again. That means he just needs to take a couple of steps to the side. As he's been right up amongst the action. He almost had to join a breakdown before, as he was in a better position than the forwards. Cody Taylor, 22 metres out from their line. It looks like now they will have the chance to be able to roll it back to kick it. Any other games today? Not necessarily today for us, but today for anyone who's overseas. We've got the Sharks versus Edinburgh game taking place at 6:30am New Zealand time. So that is 6:35pm, or sorry, 8:35pm in South Africa. The rivalry between these two teams has been there since the glory days of New Zealand rugby when Canterbury would play Auckland in the 80s. They were huge games even back then, says Glenn. Is George Bell coming back for the Crusaders this year, says Ed Smith? I'm not actually too sure, to be honest. But I think that Moananu has done extremely well. Looks like Papali'i has actually made his way off the field now. That is for that ankle that he hurt a lot earlier on. I think you should say have 2 seconds once the referee says use it. Says Kiwi Rob, that's going to be the penalty going the way of the Blues. As you see more exciting than Super. We cover them both. They're both different to each other, and I like both of them. So it's very hard to say. It just depends on what style of rugby you enjoy and I guess the players that you know. Now, what's thoughts on Caleb Tangitail? Good player, very good player. We've seen him in the Sevens really thrive. I was a little bit disappointed to see him go from the New Zealand Seven side, just because, I mean, look at where they've been since he did leave, alongside Fehi Whenua-Norfo and Leroy Carter. Those guys all went at the same time and kind of left a big gap. But, yeah, tremendous player. Wouldn't look out of place, I don't believe, in a black jersey. So Bowden Barrett's actually going to be opting for the 3 points here for the Blues. This is a different choice than what we've seen them take for a majority of the season. They've gone aggressive more times than not. They're just talking about the 1,500-point milestone that is around the corner for Barrett. And every time they talk about it, he misses. And that Breeze actually caught the ball a little bit there. Havili has managed to kick it into touch. That is now one missed kick for both of the kickers, either side. Edinburgh and Sharks just can't keep away from each other, eh? Says Sebastian. Yeah, that Sharks side is absolutely stacked in that game, though. And Edinburgh, they will want to get themselves another victory. Definitely because, I mean, they beat them in the other comp, but to be able to beat them in this one as well would bode pretty well for them. Considering there's URC at 11:45pm tomorrow. Night means no Force versus Hurricanes. How come that those two games wouldn't overlap? Because the 9:35, like, worst comes to worst, even if it's a 2-hour game, you're looking at 11:35. But, yeah, whether or not we end up doing that Benetton versus Lions game is still to be confirmed, because if we do that one, we'll have about 16 hours. In fact, it'll be closer to 18 hours of commentary throughout that 24-hour period, which I think people would be sick of me by then. So we might have a couple games that we have to miss. And my main man, thanks for the commentary, says Music Rocks. Yeah, a bit of a tricky one for Cole Forbes to be able to gather there. And yeah, a bit of push and shove between Cody Taylor and Ricky Riccatelli. I think Cody Taylor may have slightly, well, at least from that angle, it looked like he started it. I don't know what happened with the push before it. We have got there, give me 5. I need my coffee, Hammy, says Spider Mick. And who's got a chance to win this game, says Sheriff. Both sides, 7-all after 33 minutes. which means that literally anyone can take it, or pretty much take it. In pretty rough conditions. Do show us your concrete gumboots. They're just red bands, to be honest. Like, they're nothing too special. In this one, we were barrowing rather than... Oh, nice kicking behind from Severis, trying to find some space, so they will go back for another penalty. I'm not going to lie, this is a very tight scoreline. It is very tight. It's a draw at the moment. Both sides well and truly in it. Is it a full house there? I haven't seen too many empties. Oh, no, I think I might have seen some right in the back there. I also do think that the weather's probably affected the crowd a bit. But it still looks like a relatively decently sized crowd. That one's going to be missed in terms of doesn't go into touch. And it's also gone dead. So a poor kick from Kamara, which means they can go right back for a scrum about 60 metres down the field for the Blues. I was going to post a joke about canned meat, but nobody likes spam, says Bruce there. It's South Africa in the building. Of course, South Africa will also be in the building tomorrow morning for the URC. It's the Sharks taking on none other than Edinburgh, a side that they faced only a few weeks ago. We'll be covering that one on the channel. Kicks off at 6:35 for us here in New Zealand, but 8:35 p.m. for you guys in South Africa. And Blues win tonight, says Sheriff. Our morning/evening game, says Pleasure. Welcome in, mate. And we have got about the Blues winning, but that's the thing. They've probably, I don't think this is too bold of a statement, they've probably had the better chances of scoring throughout this matchup. The Crusaders were clinical early. They scored within a few minutes. But since then, they haven't really had a huge amount of attacking chances from inside of the Blues 22, whereas the Blues have been inside of the Crusaders 22, I believe, more than 5 times. And ABs will be number 1 in the world this year, says Smash Proof. And come on the Crusaders, says Chris Hayes. And go the Blues, says Annoy. Right, the scrum just getting set here. Bowden Barrett at first receiver. On that left-hand side, they have got Mark Talia way out on the wing. And Cole Forbes situated straight behind the scrum. Come on the Blues, says Kiwi Rob. And New Rugby Stadium is looking great in Christchurch. Certainly becoming a landmark, says Tanai. How the Highlanders doing? There we go. That's the way that the table sits at the moment. So they're not a mile away from the top 8. They were able to get an upset win over the Chiefs in the upcoming contest this weekend. They would certainly boost themselves towards that top 6. Although, of course, no guarantees that they would be there at the end of the round, because a few of the other teams very close to their points. Now, Finley Christie going off to the left-hand side again here. Well carried by Josh Berry. He is the lone try scorer for the Blues in this contest. Now Christie goes back across to Ricky Riccatelli. The Crusaders getting themselves up very quickly there, almost offside. Nick Berry keeping a close eye on them. I reckon there is a market for a TKO energy drink. Keeps you wide awake for all the streams, says James. And nearly a whole half of rugby and not one yellow card, yay, says Glenn. And who have scored so far, Tamaiti Williams and Josh Berry. That ball has come loose from the Blues. And Shafiaki able to kick it way down the field. Bowden Barrett is there. Tackled by Will Jordan. In fact, no, skids through. Cullen Grace finishes the job to Lear. He's had the ball knocked out of his hands, but it is a knock-on advantage now. And the Crusaders have got themselves the scrum again. What's the weather like for the Chiefs vs Landers game? I am not actually 100% sure what the weather's looking like for that contest, but hopefully it isn't terrible and we get to see some decent rugby. Although this game, to be fair, with the amount of rain that has been falling, it hasn't been awful, which I think is good news. Our ref looks like Nigel Owens from behind, says Annoy. And they have a better chance of scoring than half the men in there, says Music Rocks. And also go the Satyr, says Raquel. And there as well. Havili just knocking it out of the hands of Mark Talia, who will be disappointed not being able to hang on to that one. Just the 2 minutes remaining. Saturday sunrise at 6:47 a.m. Occasional rain, possibly heavy thundery in the morning. Fine spells developing in the afternoon. Fresh northeasterlies easing at night. Oh, there you go. There's your weather report. in a lot more detail than probably anticipating, but it was much more detail than I could offer. It just feels like they are playing middle field rugby. Says Islander, it'll be funny if all the teams got drunk just before kickoff. It would certainly lead to an interesting contest. Looks like Adrian Choate and Tamaiti Williams just having a bit of a chat there. Blackadder just trying to diffuse the situation. 90 seconds left. This is where if either side are able to get themselves, just those few points, give them massive momentum heading into the second half. Even if it's just a 3, just to have a lead up against the opposition here would be big. The Blues, they need this game if they want to get themselves back towards the top 6. And yes, there is still time left in the season, but maybe not quite as much as they would like. McDonald's still involved with the Blues? I don't believe so. I think he ended up going, when he ended up going to the All Blacks environment, that kind of took him out of there. And then from there, we saw him actually go over to Australia for a bit. I'm not actually too sure where he's ended up now. For McDonald, that one's going to go out to the right-hand side. Now kicked him behind from Kamara. Oh, that was almost a chance. Beauden Barrett has to take it back. And it will be a 5-metre scrum now for the Crusaders. And this is a big position on the field to have. We haven't got any chances in the team, or any changes in the team, or late changes before the game. So we did see Papali'i get subbed off with a bit of an injury. I believe that's the only change that we've actually seen across the two sides. Beauden Barrett can keep the Blues in the game. Says Hanoi. Gladly with patchy drizzle. Fresh northeasterlies easing this evening. Christchurch according to Met Service. Well, the drizzle is certainly more than patchy at the moment. It has been pretty much bucketing down all evening for this contest. Tonight is with the Force as a consultant, says John. What's wrong with Caleb Clark? I am not actually 100% sure. Maybe an injury, but yeah, they decided to go with Talia and Cole Forbes out on the wings this week. Now Hotham, ready to put this ball in again. And it's gone down to the front rows. They're playing advantage, but Hotham had no intentions of putting that ball in. Straight down, and the feet went out from underneath Angus Ta'aval. Crusaders will score 5-metre scrum, no problem. Well, they have given away the penalty there, the Blues. Looks like now Kamara will be able to kick this one into touch. And they will go for that rolling maul chance. One of the reasons the Force have improved is because of Leon McDonald. Says John. Ethan reminds me of the good old Mark Cowboy Shaw. Says Glenn Woods. He has an old school haircut, that is for sure, Ethan Blackadder. Now thrown in, almost stolen, but well claimed by Cullen Grace. Looks like there is another advantage in favour of the Crusaders. Hotham goes across to Blackadder, slips through his hands. Another penalty is for throwing a man across the gap, I think is what they've said for that one. Interference in the ear is actually what they've said. So coming across into that Crusaders line out. Kicked in a touch again by Kamara, but this is going to be a fatiguing few moments for the Blues on a defence. Right, both commentators have just said that that was a terrible call. Jeff Wilson and Justin Marshall. And for Marshall to be saying it, it was probably quite bad. But what are they going to do with this line out? Like I said, Tui Pilotu has come down and pretty much not affected anything there. And this time they don't even throw someone up there, the Blues. So they've been psyched out. And now the Crusaders getting that rolling maul going again. New penalty advantage. Now Hotham looking for the ball. He has got it. Goes off to the left-hand side. Terrible pass to Kamara, who has been charged down. And double blow of the whistle here from the ref. Too many in a row. Right, you slipped, you still stopped their maul, says Nick Berry there. And BS Revering says James and Caleb was dropped. Hemi out of form, says Spider-Mick. Should have went for the three Crusaders. It's a tight game, says Smash Proof. Well, the good news is for Cole Forbes, he has been able to continue in the footsteps of Caleb Clark, which is not touching the ball throughout pretty much the whole half, as they just don't seem to go out to that wing this year. Blues supporters in the stands disappointed with that penalty going against their side, but 43 minutes in at the moment. We are still in the first half, this time nicely taken by Cullen Grace again. Just seems like a matter of time for the Crusaders card conceding points. Well, they haven't conceded the points yet, but they are getting very close to it. Ball is there, Hotham. Going off to the left-hand side, Harvili sells the dummy, beautiful pass to Will Jordan. That was fantastic work from David Harvili. And it's going to be the try for Will Jordan, almost between the posts. They may just check this last one to make sure that it's gone backwards, but it would be the 5th try for Will Jordan of the season. And Harvili, seeing the rush defence, just waited. That's a very good pass. Gets up to the 5 metre, gets it back towards the 6 or so out. Going to see it from another angle yet? No, that's nowhere near forward from that angle. And Will Jordan does get the try converted as well, so that will make the score 14 points to 7. So they scored right at the start and right at the end of the half. The in-between, I would argue, went to the Blues. That was forward. Did you see the sideline angle, Kiwi Rob? Because if that is forward, then I don't know what I'd say 99% of passes that we see in rugby would be. Let's have the TMO review that last 43 minutes to play of play to check for errors. And good wet weather rugby by the sounds of it. If it's a blue, no try status try, says Spider Mech. And there as well. But yeah, half time in this contest, 14 points to 7. It's been competitive and it is still anyone's game for the taking for the second 40 minutes. Our Bulls need GPS, says on the right. Well, that's the thing. Like in rugby, we haven't got the same technology yet as football in terms of for the offside and everything like that. But maybe one day they will look at having some sort of thing that they can track where the ball travels. But the problem is with that other writing of the law, which is if the hands have tried to make the ball go backwards, then it's fine. Now, if they were to change that, then I guess it would be a lot more straightforward. But because if your hands are going backwards and the ball, yeah, it's a weird one, I'll be honest. Say it as Abbott says, Chris Hayes. And there as well. And they will feel confident going into the second half, but it can easily be lost, I would say, because at the end of the day, only 7 points separating these two sides. Well done, Hamish, you said football. Says Fleshin. We should have a bunker rather than just TMO, says Kiwi Rob. Surely not for that last pass, though, Kiwi Rob, because once again, if you look at the replay from the side-on angle, it's like pretty far back. But yes, there were a couple other ones that were a little bit interesting in that case. Your commentary is at least 4 minutes delay, bro, but great commentary, says Douglas. You must be watching on like super speed or something, Douglas, because I think I'm about probably 40 seconds delay from Sky Sport. But yeah, you might be in the future. You'll be able to tell us who wins just before we actually know who does. He was offside. So he was, sorry, we're just going to have to debunk this for a second. So he was offside receiving the ball behind his teammate. You got anything else? Surely, like, a better argument would be something like obstruction from someone else, Kiwi Rob. At least that way it sounds like you've got a legitimate case. Technology in cricket has been amazing for 30 years. Feels like rugby is 30 years behind cricket. Says on the right. Rugby has a few interesting things, I'll give you that. In terms of some of the things that we see. 14 points to 7. That ref made a bad call with the line out, gave him a warning. Says Mans. Yeah, that one with Tui Pilotu, how he just landed and they were like, nah, you're not allowed to do that. It's like, where was he supposed to go in that scenario? Yeah, the Blues now on their final warning. So we'll be interested to see what happens there. Who coached Crusaders? Now it is Rob Penny who was in charge of them. Just met Kiwi Rob. It was a try. I don't think you'll get Kiwi Rob to admit that. We've been trying to get him to admit anything against the Blues for the past, I'd say, about 7 matches, and he just does not. What do you guys say about Man? You win last night 5-4. I didn't know they won, if I'm being honest. No, that line out was a bad call. Challenge that. Says Mans. Yeah, and someone mentioned about it, I think it was last live stream. Or live stream. That's definitely what we're going to have to call it now on Halloween. But it was one of those live streams last week, and someone said if they brought in the kind of decision-making that the NRL have, like a captain's challenge, the games would be probably about 2 hours, 30 minutes long. But the concern is the reason they would be so long is because we do see a lot of wrong calls, and they'd forever be getting their challenge back. If you ever need to go and do your business in the middle of the game, on live TV in front of 30,000 screaming fans, says the music rocks. Honestly, cricket and rugby are far ahead of football technology, always controversy in football, says Fatone. And also, by the way, hi Hamish, says Demon, welcome in, mate. And also, as a Blues fan, I wish it wasn't a try. It is what it is, and cricket has 1 billion fans. Rugby is only popular in certain countries. It's money that makes the technology difference, says Wade. And Man United was a crazy game. I aged 30 years, but what a game, says Enzel. I'm living in Canada, but from Fiji. Pretty hard to watch Super Rugby here. Just the updates on Bet365, says Douglas. It is a shame that for those countries, definitely that don't have an option of being able to watch it, that they don't show the games somewhere. It's the same with the sevens. Oh, Catch the Colonel is about to take place. Now, we do normally get to see someone win this because the Colonel doesn't try in the second half of the race. Will Jordan was in front of a Blues player. That's how it works, fun fact. If he was behind them, then he would have been offside. Right. Here goes the Colonel. Oh, she's going to have to run faster than that. The Colonel is just going. He's trying to make it competitive. She's running. She's running. Oh, she won the race. It was very close. So it was probably easier to just say that she won than not winning. For Man U fans left early and missed the win. So were they, I assume they were down, were they? And then they came back. How's it, bro? Says Varasilla. Welcome in. You are doing extremely well. First half, extremely competitive. The game is a draw, Hammy. What is the difference between extra and golden? How it works? So extra time is what you see in something like the Champions Cup. And that is to do with 10-minute halves of extra, like, kind of play. With the situation for golden point, it's just pretty much any point scored ends the game. Extra time, you can get plenty of, like, tries and you'd still win eventually once it ends. They should be the TMO next season, says Raphael. And all of it, and scored 3 goals in extra time to win. That is an insane finish. Who were they playing in that game that they were down by 3, but then, down by 2, I guess it would have been, wouldn't it? And then came back to win. Looking through at the benches for this game, ladies and gents, just for anyone who is curious. One more. There we go. Moananu going to be making his way off the bench. He has been outstanding throughout the season and really could be an AB's bolter when you consider who the coach of this All Black side is. George Bower and Sykes Martin as the other 2 front row replacements. Jamie Hanna, Corey Callow, and Preston. And then alongside that, James O'Connor and Dallas McLeod for the Blues. Eklund, Tupai, and Tui Pelotu as the front row replacements. McWannell, Suafua, and also Choate, who has actually already made his way onto the field. That was due to the injury of Dalton Papali, so that is a bit of a concern here for the Blues. And then the back replacements, they've got just the 2, Taufa Funaki and also Harry Plummer. In terms of what is happening next week for these 2 sides, the Blues will be taking on the Reds. That is the 9:35 p.m. kickoff on Friday night. Then for the Crusaders, they have got the Highlanders. Now it'll be the 7:05 p.m. kickoff, and that has taken place down in Dunedin. Josh Berry, the lone try scorer for the Blues. And then for the Crusaders, we saw Tamaiti Williams score right at the start and Will Jordan score right at the end. So 1 started it, 15 finished it, and it still looks like it's pouring down in the background of the commentators for the rest of the game. Yeah, in terms of those next week's games, they are so crucial. Crusaders, if they want to keep top of the table, of course they would need a win there, plus a win here over the Blues too. For the Blues, that away game, they have to win it. They want to keep on moving their way up the current table. Lyon is a French team, says Enzo. I think the Crusaders will do it. And also we have got there, which we had other games on TV or streaming here, says Enzo. The Chiefs travelling, says Ed Smith. So for this round, I believe the Chiefs will be at home. I think they're at home for this week. And then next week they are, I believe they are at home up against the Force. Yes, they are. So a couple home games in a row for the Chiefs after travelling last week up against the Tarts. Rugby's a man's game. Says Music Rocks. Although the woman for the Blues doing very well recently in Super Rugby Aupiki. Women's World Cup coming up this year too. This game sounds really close so far. I wonder if it's going to come down to goal kicks, says John. And the interesting thing is the two men off the kicking tee haven't had the best season off the kicking tee. You've got Beauden Barrett, who has missed a kick today. You've got Kamara, who has missed a kick today. So it could all come down to who's got that little bit more accuracy. It still looks like a decent crowd. And there are a lot of jackets on because of that weather. And we have got there Man United led 2-0 up against Lyon. Came back with 4 goals. The Man United scored 3 times in the last 6 minutes to win. So that is a quite exciting sounding game, to be fair. Definitely if you're going to have 9 goals in a match of football as well. I think as the clock hits 40 minutes, the referee should blow the whistle for halftime there. Shouldn't be allowed to go back-to-back penalties like the league, says Kiwi Rob. Well, I would recommend if you want it to be like league, what you're watching, there is a thing called league that you could watch instead. But, you know, it's a little bit different to some other sports, I guess you could say, because, you know, likes of football, like we were just mentioning, you've got that extra period of time that you're allowed to play. So what about the time that it's spent for injuries? Can you have like maybe a minute or 2 extra injury time, or are you just saying straight away, last phase, whatever happens, happens? As Blackadder and Clark both secure for their AB's jersey this championship? I'm not sure, to be honest. Like Blackadder, I would say maybe. I think their number 7 jersey might be up for grabs. Definitely if Dalton Papali'i has got some sort of relatively serious injury from this game. And then you've got Caleb Clark, who, once again, it just all depends on whether or not Robertson's selecting off what he's seen this year, or whether you're just selecting off like what he's experienced in the All Blacks jersey last season. Because, of course, it's a little bit different for the coaches in terms of they've got that knowledge of what the guy was like in the camp and whether or not they're someone who they feel worked well in their plans based off form or not. I mean, we've seen that with the likes of that Geordie Barrett-Rieko Ioane combo that they said that's what we want, so we're just going to keep on persisting. Come on the Blues, just have to win more ball in the breakdown and we'll get more chances, says Rugby Itch. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, we saw a lot of aggressiveness from the Crusaders throughout that first 10 minutes. And then the Blues started winning that territory battle and it kind of disappeared. But I think Noah Hotham's been one of the standouts for the Crusaders, with the exception of the tackle that he made without wrapping. You know, he's probably made, I don't want to guess because I'd probably be wrong, but I want to say like 9 tackles, maybe. Hotham versus Christie, who have had the better first half. I honestly think this is one of the best halves we've seen from Noah Hotham in a long time. So I would go Hotham. Nick Berry needs to be fairer, says Kiwi Rob, or more fair, as some would say. But, yeah, in terms of the stats for Noah Hotham, he had 9 tackles. Well, there we go. Are you at the studio, Hammy, or at home? I am at home. I don't really have a studio, sadly. Come on, says Chris. And is it still pissing down? It is. Yep, looking very wet for the second half too. Fantastic performance by the NIB Blues. Good work, Alpaki ladies, says Marshall. Evening, Hamish. Good evening, all, says David the Mod. Welcome in. But now, second half getting very close. In this one, the Blues are going to want that early try just to get themselves back into the contest. It will not be easy. Definitely not when the Crusaders have got a lead at halftime. They normally like to keep it that way, but this Blues side have a dangerous backline. If they can just link up that little bit more. I don't think we've seen enough of Beauden Barrett so far throughout this contest. Just looking quickly at Finlay Christie. He has just made the 2 tackles throughout that first half in comparison to Noah Hotham. Did make the 9. He's also made meters and defenders beaten 2 for Noah Hotham. Beauden Barrett, he's had 3 tackles. He's made 10 meters. He's beaten 3 defenders in those 10 meters though. So, you know, if he can get the ball a bit more second half, it's going to be dangerous. And CRUSADERS will be first to score. And just woke up, how's my girlfriend Christy doing? Says TH. I mean, I wouldn't say it's been an awful game for Christy, but he just, I don't think has been involved as much as they'd like. But then that's the slight problem with what happens with how do we put this? It doesn't sound bad. Like, Mark Talia spends more time in that halfback role than he does out on his wing. And it's a tactic that the Blues have used, and sometimes it finds success. But in this game, and a few of the others throughout the season, it just seems like the halfback doesn't know when they're allowed to go to the breakdown, because Talia's constantly there waiting for those pick and goes. And I mean, it's something we see sometimes with Sevu Reece as well, and that's where those similarities between the two players does come in. But yeah, it just sometimes seems like it slows the play down more having Talia trying to be the number 9 than it does if it was just Christie with Talia out on his wing. I think O'Connor needs to come on early and the Crusaders will win it, says Mr. Porkchop. We're in for an epic second half. Bowden Barrett needs to go up another gear. Is he nursing an injury? Not that I know of. I know that he came back recently from his hand injury, but yeah, I think that after the way that he played last week in terms of that running game, he's still definitely right up there. So meters made at the moment. The Blues have had 257 compared to the 115 of the Crusaders, almost double the carries for the Blues here too. So we saw that early start from the Crusaders, the physicality, and then the Blues slowly adjusted and took it to them, but only managed to score 1 try throughout that period of time. Now, Crusaders, they will be kicking off from left to right here. And they do decide to go long. We also saw a couple kicks into touch throughout that first half, which I think killed a bit of the momentum for both of those sides. That's going to be a high tackle, was it? No, on the shoulder, says Nick Berry. Going to be rolled back and taken into the 22 by Finley Christie, so isn't able to find touch with this one. Will Jordan waiting for it round the halfway line, takes it well, looking for the gap, but gets tackled by Tuipulotu and Ta'avao. Now back across to the left-hand side, League is Posh and Rugby Blue Collar. Johnny, you're high, says Wade. Now kicked high from Kamara. Looking forward to the second half, says Jimbo. And that's going to be, I don't think it clipped the hand of Fiaki, but either way it will be the line out for the Blues. Yeah, it is still pretty heavy. It almost looks like it's more so a dampening drizzle than a pouring rain type situation in Christchurch, at least for the second half. Thrown in, nicely taken by Anton Segner, now off to Adrian Choate. Low tackle on him by Cody Taylor, who doesn't really roll away. And Christie again. Kicks it downfield, goes off to Will Jordan. That one's going to bounce into touch. The camera work there wasn't the best. We didn't actually really get to see it, but it will be the Blues. So Dallas McLeod is on the field, and that is for David Arvili, who felt like he had a bit of a leg injury. Nothing too substantial, but just possibly re-injuring something he already had. We have got there, did you hear the news about the World Cup? Basically, South Africa can't host it. They're not even going to bid for it, says on the right. See, I heard that the government said that they were going to try and back them to be able to host it in about 2033 or something, wasn't it? But yeah, it is a tough one to try and get the rights to host it. Sounds like Will Jordan is heavily marked. Yeah, they've been keeping an eye on him, as you need to, as saw how dangerous he can be right at the end of that first half when he did score the try. Say to score next game over, says Bhavani, and they are currently in a pretty good attacking position on the field. Be about 15 metres out with Cody Taylor's line out. That'll be determining whether or not they get to have a nice attack, whether the Blues can steal that ball back. Cody Taylor does go in. Almost looked like he hesitated there to throw that one. And now nice ball to Fiaki. Only 2 metres out from the line. Trying to snipe around the side was Ethan Blackadder. Now to Mighty Williams. Pops it up to Scott Barrett. That looked like he was inches from getting over the try line again. Crusaders decide with the pick and go from Mighty Williams. Going to be held up. He needs to get rid of that one. He does so there. That looked like a knock-on from Otham, but there is another penalty going against the Blues. Now, South Africa's too dangerous for World Cup. Says smash proof. Anton Segner put it in a massive shot. 37 minutes left. The question is whether or not this Blues defence can hold up Rugby is like making love to your partner. Balls go back and forward. You give the best D you can. There's music rocks. It's also an 80-minute game, I guess you could say. Refs, that's enough. Yeah, there's been a few penalties against the Blues at the moment, unfortunately. Cody Taylor now getting ready to go for this one. Nicely taken by Cullen Grace, who hits the ground hard, but is set in that rolling ball. They're going sideways. They've already been told to use it once by Nick Berry, but it is still moving. It's a tactic we saw from the Blues last week up against Moana, and they have now conceded in the same fashion. Christian Leo Willie, the man who does get through, does manage to score the try. So that is now the third of the match for the Crusaders. Put them a little bit closer towards that victory, but it is still far from over, still time remaining. The Blues did want to be that first team to score in the second 40 minutes. Crusaders just using that forward pack for their advantage. And like I said, it's something that we saw the Blues use often in their match up against Moana Pacifica, and it was working well. So they do normally have that dominant maul, but the Crusaders just showing them that they can do it too. Another chance off the kicking tee for Taha Kamara. He's sitting 2 from 3 today. He's sitting 2 from 4 today. As he's missed that one away to the side. It's going to make the score 19 points to 7. Yeah, just bulldozing his way through. Christian Leo Willie, he was fired up to night Blues season all finished. Not necessarily, but it's getting closer. At the end of the day, I think they've still got 5 more games. That's a few points still available, but they have to make sure they win, I would say, 3 out of the 5, if not more than that. Looking through, they've got the Highlanders next week. Then they've got the week off. Then they've got the Chiefs. Oh, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong team there. Hang on. Blues have got the Reds, then the Force, then the Fijian Rua, then Moana Pacifica. Then they have the week off, and then they've got the Tars. So, yeah, 5 more games. If the ref is against you, you don't feel like playing. What the use says Spider Mix. So exactly how Moana Pacifica felt last week when playing the Blues, I guess. Now 5 metres out from the line, the Blues have got themselves the penalty and they have kicked it into the corner. I believe that was just playing the ball on the ground from the Crusaders there. That's what ended up with the penalty going against them. Pinching points either side of the half. Typical Crusaders, says Marshall. Yeah, that's 14 points within the first 3 minutes of both halves, or maybe 5 minutes of both halves, which can make all the difference. All sober and not happy at 2 cents, says Glenn Woods. And the Blues need a can of Live Plus. Vern Cotter needs a 6-pack of Live Plus cans. Wonder whether or not they had the oranges at halftime. I know back when I was playing way back in the under 9s or so, the oranges used to be what fired the team up to still go out to lose, unfortunately. But gave it our all. That's going to be almost stolen in the breakdown. Yes, it is from the Crusaders, and they get the penalty as well. That should have been a penalty to the Blues for one of the Crusaders dropping one of the players to the ground. So I assume you're saying that one against Ricky Riccatelli because he was on the wrong side of the maul, so they pulled him out of it. You feel like maybe it was slightly aggressive, do you, Kiwi Rob? Now, Noah Hotham decides to take that quick dab. I don't know what he's done there. They won the penalty from inside of their 22, and they've just decided to kick the ball straight back to the Blues now. So this is a golden opportunity for them to get back into this game. Yes, says Kiwi Rob. I think you'll find if you actually watch Ricky Riccatelli throughout a game, he does many things worse than that. But luckily does not get caught. Now nice run forward down the wing from Cole Forbes. Now off to the left-hand side. Good dodge from Adrian Chotui Pilotu, moves to 15 metres out from the line now. Ta'aval, 10 metres out. Satutu. This is a golden chance, like I said, for the Blues after a massive mistake from the Crusaders when they decided to not kick the ball towards the touchline and instead kick it down the middle. Now Ta'aval decides against the offload again. Segner on off to the left with his pick and go, tackled by Scott Barrett. Ball is there. Is there an individual or a spark of individual brilliance which individual will likely come from. Honestly, I think that Beauden Barrett is the thing that can take this Blues backline up to the next level that it needs to be, but we haven't seen him enough throughout that first half. Like I mentioned at halftime, 10 metres carried, 3 defenders beaten for Beauden Barrett. The Crusaders are offside, says Kiwi Rob. Now, waiting for this ball. It looks like it's going to be Anton Segner. Now, Crusaders not falling for the dummy. Oh, gap for Christie, almost goes through. Cullen Grace makes the low tackle, and that was almost stolen by the Crusaders. Counter ruck there, and it's bounced on to their side. Was there a hand that swatted that ball back? If not, it is a very impressive steal. Has Peyton Spencer played this year for the Blues? I don't think he's been given any minutes so far, Peyton Spencer, unless maybe an earlier game. There's no spark of individual brilliance, just concussions, brain damage, says Music Rocks. And is it raining, says Mashproof? It's pretty much raining / a heavy drizzle at the moment. But yeah, it does look wet out there on the field. Tackles made 120 for the Crusaders. Looks like an injury here for Tamaiti Williams. Both sides actually tackling at more than 90%, which is very impressive to see. And come on, there's a hands Blues penalty, says Spider Mick. And the good old hand in the ruck, don't get caught, says Glenn Woods. Would you rather watch a tree grow? I quite enjoy seeing trees in terms of the different types and whatnot. George's granddad, he absolutely loved trees. He planted quite a few. He actually got to name a tree as well, fun fact. Now Ricky Riccatelli, big drive and tackle on him by Tamaiti Williams, who tries to get back up to his feet, but the Blues protecting the ball nicely. Now off to the left-hand side, Hoskins Satutu. 10 metres out. That time it's been ripped away. And the penalty, Ricky Riccatelli tackling him afterwards. Tackler not releasing call there. Peyton Spencer, I think, is playing for the Sevens. Says Kiwi Rob. And so half-time, says Enzo, it is not. No, we're 51 minutes through at the moment. There have been 9 penalties against the Blues compared to the 6 penalties against the Crusaders. And the Blues won't come back, says Chris Hayes. Right, Tuipulotu's got the ball in hand here. So this seems like once again... Oh no, it's in fact Hoskins Satutu. Satutu trying to switch up the plan. Crusaders have let him get a little bit too close to the try line, I'm sure, for comfort. From just a pick and go. There's no knock on from Pussy Tua, I don't believe. I think it just hit him in the breadbasket. I'm not sure if he got a hand to it. That's still anyone's game, says the back seat, but this is going to be another scrum now for the Crusaders. I thought Baden had quit Sevens unless he was gone back again. I think he was supposed to be with the Blues. We're going to see the replay here from Satutu. Just goes to ground, and then I think Anton Segner just panicked a little bit. Do you have the new Skybox? I do not know. I still watch on Sky Sport now, which is why sometimes there is a slight delay. Yeah, Cody Taylor just shouting in the face of Anton Segner. There's a bit of argy-bargy going on between these two sides. Bit of rivalry starting to blossom. And I think that there will also be quite a bit of frustration. Because at the end of the day, like, both sides have made their fair share of mistakes. The Blues side know that if they can pick up a win here away from home, it would be massive for their overall season. But they have to do something significant soon. George Bower, he has made his way onto the field. That is for Tamaiti Williams. They really don't get along. Says Highlanders will win. But the funny thing is, some of these guys then have to play together as the All Blacks. What's Sky Now and how much? I think it's $45 a month for Sky Sport Now. And it's pretty much just, you can get it on your PC, on your TV, on your phone, or iPad, or whatever you've got the device on. A lot of them are supported, but just make sure, of course, if you're going to be buying it. But yeah, they've got an annual fee or a monthly fee. Is George Bell playing? He is not, no. Nor has he been for, at this stage, most of the season, unfortunately. And time for weed. I hate rugby union. I'm going back to my Storm. Says Spider Mick. Kurt Eklund ready to throw this ball in. And that is due to Ricky Riccatelli getting taken off the field. He's had a bit of a mixed game so far, but nicely taken by Anton Segner. Popped off to choke. That was close to forward. And in fact, They have called it as such. Now scrum feed again for the Crusaders, who just don't seem to be able to exit their 22 at the moment. They have had the Blues right on them. Every time they try to, Blues get straight back where they want to be. The Storm looking good for the Prem this year. And a laughing face there from Hensel. They are just showing quarter by quarter. Crusaders during the third quarter have been the most effective side throughout all of Super Rugby Pacific, with 81 points scored throughout that time period. Then in terms of the other information that they've got, for the Blues, they have been 11th during this period and 11th during the final quarter. So a lot of their points have been scored in the first half, which is why maybe there's a bit of concern there. My team since I was 5, Glenn, says Spider-Man can see who has done nothing. He has hardly touched the ball. But the thing is, the man in front of him in this match, Cole Forbes, he's hardly touched the ball either. So they just haven't gone to that wing. Are you going to be covering Bulls vs Munster? I believe we are for that contest. I'm hoping to do at least 3 of the South African games this weekend, if not 4. I feel sorry for Leinster. Rico is a terrible buy, says Scrotimus. Now getting over the ball. Anton Segner wins another penalty. And Crusaders front row is good. Says Highlanders will win Super Rugby 2025. Right, Blues again, I assume, will kick this one for the corner. And that one's gone into touch. He just locks himself over the ball there. They're just talking about him and Cody Taylor. They were having words before, but Segner having a big moment there. And corner is the way to go, says the back seat. Yeah, but they need to make sure that they score one soon. They've been trying repeatedly throughout the last probably 10 minutes. They have been inside of the Crusaders half. How far out? Only about 7 metres at the moment, but they're looking for that rolling maul. Currently being well defended by the Crusaders, and it has gone down. Ball struggling to get it out of there. The trend has been the Crusaders getting scrums, and they've got another one there. So the Blues, at what stage do you decide to go for maybe a scrum in that scenario, or a quick tap? Something a little bit different. Severin and Forbes don't get involved with forward play enough. Nothing get involved. Says Smash People, although Severin, in his defence, he did get across and had a few pick and goes in that first half, but then I think they realised that by using those forwards as well as letting Hotham really control it, it was a lot more successful. Who's got the ball, says Crusaders. It's going to be once again a scrum feed for the Crusaders, only about 5 metres out from their line. And Sanders will do it here. Saders will do it here rather than Sanders, unless you're talking about Colonel Sanders, perhaps. But yeah, in terms of Severis's numbers, he's had 8 metres gained today. Cole Forbes on that same wing, he's actually had 25, but I think there was only maybe 1 carry that he managed to have his 25 metres. It's going to be a free kick now going against the Crusaders, which means now the Blues have the option to either take a quick tap, which I believe is the only option that they'll be looking at here. And we have got there as well. That's some great defence from the Saders forwards. Yeah, they're working hard, but it is only a matter of time. They have given the Blues so many chances. Within 5 metres, hot ball up from Anton Segner goes to AJ Lamb. Can they get over Tui Pilotu holding on to Cullen Grace on the wrong side of the breakdown? Almost created enough of a gap for the Blues to sneak through. Berry gets close again. Now Tui Pilotu, pick and go from the veteran. Is that Rico? It was in there? No, just short of the line. Now Christie pops it across to Satutu, who goes over, and the Blues finally cross the try line. Is that Hotham's sister plays 7s? That is correct, yes. Jasmine Felix Hotham. They are the siblings. How much time left? Still another 23 minutes. And now that the Blues have finally broken through, they're right back in this contest. That missed kick from Kamara off the last try could prove crucial in this matchup. Satutu just bouncing out of 1. Bowden Barrett. This is not a tough kick in terms of his, well, you wouldn't think, for his ability. I know Melbourne Rebels, why can't they do 8? instead of 6. That's stupid. I reckon they should have top 8, says David. I think it was more so that, like, in the situation of 8 out of the 11 teams go through, you're looking at, what is it, like 75. In fact, it's more than 75, isn't it? We'll go like that. You're looking at, that's the wrong maths. We'll go 8 divided by 11 equals, yeah, you're looking at 73% of your competition go through to the next stage. So, I guess with 6, it's only about 60%, somewhere around there, which doesn't sound like a huge difference, but yeah, playoffs are very confusing, but, kick tie from Zahn Sullivan. Does go into touch, interesting, says Jimbo. Is this your work, Hamish, or do you have a side job? I do have a main job, and then this is my, I guess, side job / hobby as well. And who Satutu dots it down, and Satutu, or Hoskins for the win, says James. No Melbourne Rebels. Oh no, I read that one. A nice week, Blues. They're going to need that conversion. We have got there easy under 56.5 today. I knew this game would be low scoring. Did you see the weather report, Martin? Because I believe if you had, then most people would have said that too. It's going to be knocked on by Ethan Blackadder. We've had a few of those due to the wet weather, which has, of course, taken up quite a bit of time in this contest. What's the attendance numbers? Not actually sure, to be honest. It looked relatively full with the exception of a few seats down the front, and that'll be due to the rain, I would think, more than likely. Right, another change. Josh Fusitua is going to make his way off, and Mason Tupaia makes his way on, who's looking promising. Says, for Pai, we talking team or player? Because I would say that Noah Hotham has actually had one of his better games here. For the Blues, we've seen some good work from Satutu and Segner. As well, how much time left? Still another 20 minutes remaining. Whose ball? It will be the Blues ball, 40 metres out from their line. Team, Blues have had all the territory throughout the second half, but there was the early try scored by the Crusaders that did give them that bit of a lead. I believe it is under, to be honest, because they are going to play more defence here, says Martin. Although both sides have been extremely aggressive, we've hardly seen the 3-pointers attempted. Blues have gone to the corner about 7 times in this contest, but have been extremely unlucky not to score them. But another penalty does go the way of the Blues, so they are once again in that danger zone of the Crusaders 22. Saw the Wires' first ever game was what is now Apollo Stadium in the late 94. Says Ed Smith. And the Blues are getting momentum now. Is Connor in yet? Not yet. They have still got Taha Kamara, I believe, on the field. In 1914, says Raphael. And Blues were leading the stats at halftime too, says Glenn Woods. That was an ugly line out. No one really got the lift up, but the Blues have managed to retain. Still 19 minutes left on the clock and only 5 points difference between them. Ball almost there. No, another advantage. No, in fact, referee Nick Berry said that the ball went backwards. Now Mark Talia has got the possession about 40 metres out from the line now. Bowden Barrett tries the chip. AJ Lamb was not ready to run after that one. My voice wasn't ready for that statement. Noah Hotham does extremely well to kick it from inside of the in-goal area. Here comes Mark Talia running at Taha Kamara. Manages a bounce out of it. 5 metres from the line again. Now, back across to the right-hand side. Now Segner goes to Satutu. This is where the Blues need to strike twice in a row. They have had all of the momentum, like I mentioned. The Crusaders' discipline starting to let them down. Nice pick and go from Choate. 5 phases in a row here for the Blues. That's quick. Games up in the air. If the Blues land this, says the backseat. Exactly right. They were far from out of it at halftime, and with that early try, of course, it was going to make it more challenging, but they have still got plenty of time to be able to get back into it. Ta'avao has to play half. 10 metres out from the line still. Segner plays half back this time, and a run forward from, I believe it was the Blues number 19. I'm not actually too sure who. Lachlan McWunnell is on the field for Satutu with the round the back pass. AJ Lamb slides over, and the Blues have got themselves another one. But Hoskins Satutu just flicking that one round his back. But we're going to have to see a replay of this one. How's he done this? First of all, Taha Kamara did very well to be able to exit from inside of the in-goal area because it did touch his foot, so he had to try and get it. But we're going to see it here. So Tutu picks it up, and that is a fantastic pass, but also fantastic finish from AJ Lamb because, of course, that pass would have been insane, but the fact that it actually went to hand and then AJ Lamb was able to score off it means that they'll be able to put that one on TikTok, Instagram, and all the ones that you have that short form stuff. And come on, Blues, shut up, say to support it. Says Kiwi Rob, a rugby like dating, you keep trying and trying until you score. Says Music Rocks. And yeah, boys, says Raphael. And come on, the Blues, says Kiwi Rob. Bowden Barrett takes the kick, and he is missed away to the side. He kicks the ground out of frustration there. 19-19. Now the score. Have you ever bought a season membership pass before? I'm thinking about buying the Blues membership pass next year. I have not, mainly because like any side that's close to me is kind of 3 hours-ish away. So it'll be a lot of travel to make it worthwhile. That's quick games up in the year. And I miss seeing Talia on the field next year for the Blues, says Vito Skux. We've got a gifted membership from Marshall as well. Thank you very much, right? Greatly appreciated. Have you seen Cobra Kai? I have not, no. Alston's again for the win, says James. Looks like Suafoa has made his way onto the field for Anton Signer. And we have got there Ed. I have a GPS tracker in the jersey. Institution could score 3 tries a game. Robertson still wouldn't pick him, says Glenn Woods. And yeah, it seemed to be the defence that they were worried about last year for Satutu. I will say he's looked busy throughout this season, although the Blues have spent a long time defending this year compared to last. So who knows, maybe that does put him in the better direction. He is locked in his contract for the Blues for a bit longer. Great kick from Bowden Barrett. Gets him back towards the halfway line, and the Crusaders will have the line out again. Can we see the first golden point game of the season? Well, I did think the game between the Crusaders Hurricanes seemed pretty likely, and we didn't get it. But maybe this one, in the rain, anything could happen. Glenwood Satutu may be ranked number 6 in his position, says Table Mountain. And how many missed now? How many need a goal kicker, says Spider Mix. So Kamara has missed 2, Bowden Barrett has missed 2. So both men giving up the same amount of points, which in a way I'm sure that they'd be quite happy about, because at least then you know that the opposition is struggling just as much as yourself. Oh, Blackadder accidentally taken out Christie, and that was a good take from Shea Fiaki. Okay, I think he's won the penalty there rather than the mark. Do they have overtime? They certainly do. And that will be a golden point. When you're doing another Rugby 25 Crusaders career mode episode with George, one went up about 3 hours ago. And up at the Blues, come on. And come on, Crusaders score again, says Chris Hayes. And those 4 missed can win the game, or win the Blues the game. So you can take out the 9, says Kiwi Rob. Only if you apologise to him like Blackadder did. Then it's completely fine, apparently. Now popped up here, Che Fiaki. Being told to release him. Oh, does go down, and a nice steal there for Mason Tupaya. Right. This is tricky. 13 minutes to go. Do you take 3? Can you take 3? Will the kick even go over? Like, this is the situation that the Blues have to make a big decision. It looks like they're pointing at the post, but Bowden's only sitting 50% for today. So is Kamara on the other side of things. Crusaders. It's a good release from Kurt Eklund. Fiaki went forward a couple more metres, and Mason Tupaya managed to get over it. Go for the 3, says Smash Proof. And also, go Crusaders, go, says NRL fan. Yeah, there's no guarantee for Bowden here. But it's at least a good chance. And this would be to take the lead for the first time in this match for the Blues. And this will also bring up 1,500 points. And he's got it over, which now makes the score 22 points to 19 in favour of the away side. Let's the Tutu kick the ball, says Spider Mech. He struck it well there, Bowden. The wind tried to take it a little bit, but it had some good shape. And Bodie's got us, says Vito Skux there. And yes, says Raphael. And come on, Crusaders, says Chris. Yeah, last 12 minutes. It is going to be an eventful finish, I can tell you that right now. And it's kicked off long by the Blues. Bit of a miscommunication there. Nicely claimed by Satutu, though, after a juggle. And how's the time says Dewey at the moment? 68.5 minutes through. The Blues, they will know that they have to get back into... Oh, Finley Christie, that looks close to the sideline. That looks very close. That is in field of play, I believe. Oh, hang on. Wait. Okay, they've said that it is in touch. It was almost going to be play on for a second. I have no fingernails, so nervous, says Raphael. And give us a golden point game, says Highlanders. And bury it. Says Mr. All-in. They are just checking that one. Does it bounce in touch? Yeah, it's on the line. Good call from the touch judge. In fact, it may have been the TMO who got involved with that one. Crusaders will score now. You will see, says Roland. And say to come back, says Chris. Now line out chance, Cody Taylor. The thing is, they've got Taylor out there, who's, of course, a brilliant player. But Moananu deserves to get a few minutes here, surely, after the way that he played last week up against the Canes. Levi Amore. Now, big shot on him. It becomes a maul. And the Blues are not letting this one go. It looks like it's going to be stuck in there. But the ball is available. No, it's not, says Nick Berry. And the Blues get themselves the scrum again. And Dun Blues is not over till the Fat Lady sings and Crusaders will lose, says James. And Crusaders will still win, says Dash there. And also turnover for the Blues, says Kiwi Rob. Yeah, it's going to go down to the wire here. 10 minutes remaining on the clock. The moment the Blues have had all momentum throughout the second half, which is surprising because when we talked about those stats earlier on, like they haven't got a huge amount of points in their second halves of their games. That pass looked forward, but if it was forward, they wouldn't have got themselves a scrum exactly where they are now. So it could be handy. And that was forward, says James. And I feel like this one, the way that they won that scrum, I feel like it would have given them more confidence holding up the maul than they would have off that 4-pass. So I don't think the players will be minding that much, although that is a massive scrum from the Crusaders. And they get themselves now the penalty that would put them back to a level playing field. And crikey, what a game, says Jimbo. Yeah, a great way to start the Super Rugby Pacific round 10. The ball fed in and then just bending upwards with Mason Tupaia. And Fletcher Null going nose to nose with him too. A little bit of feistiness. These two sides do not like each other, ladies and gentlemen. Right, sounds like it's going to be now James O'Connor who lines up the kick. He's been pretty accurate today. Justin Marshall just said how hard Fletcher Null went in the scrum. Pushing wise, that is. And Blues to lose, says Chris. James O'Connor, he still needs to get this kick over to make it back to even. And he does just that, straight down the middle. They'll feel some confidence having him out there on the field for the final 8 minutes of this contest. Score now sitting 22 points to 22. G'day to all the PIs out there, says James. Oh, Moananu just wanted a fist bump and he didn't get one, but he has made his way onto the field for Cody Taylor. Sounds like another change has just been made too. These two sides have been relatively late with their switches, right? The Crusaders are inside, or no, in fact, just outside of their 22. It is taken in, so this one cannot find touch on the full. That is Kyle Preston out there for Noah Otham. He's going to have to use this one very shortly. Being told to use it. Let's kick it high. Happy Easter to you, mate, says Barry Green. Right back at you. Nice take from Zahn. Sullivan hasn't had a huge amount of opportunity with ball in hand today. Now Talia plays halfback. Goes back across. Bowden Merritt trying the kick across field, I should say. Nicely claimed by James O'Connor, who goes on the outside through the hands of Reese, but it's gone backwards, says Nick Berry. And Blues should kick themselves for missing 2 penalties. It all goes back to the Ramfurly Shield match of 85. That's why they don't like each other. O'Connor will make the AB, says Chris Hayes. And Moananu just went in. Coach was sick, says the Fapai. Yes, only just getting to come on now. Oh, that's out on the full from Kyle Preston. That's about the 4th or 5th kick we have seen that has gone out on the full. And Bay, I told you, says Mary Faye. Who is Bay? Is that someone in the chat? Or is that me? You've got there, he's not obliged. Or not eligible, I think that is the spelling that Kiwi Rob has gone for there. And damn, just like always, I just woke up again, says Mr. Orlin. Now 6 minutes remaining. You've probably woken up at the perfect time. It's been very competitive. Now rolling nicely. Leo Willie trying to go over the top of this maul. Hope my Blues don't choke. Looks like they've left that one in for a little bit longer here. This is getting a little bit risky for the Blues here, but same maul is called. Jamie Hanna trying to swim his way over the top. Taufafunaki goes back across. Abe equals bro, says Glenn. Now close to the steal. That ball's popped out and it's knocked on by the Blues again. Tui Pilotu asking for something in the breakdown. Eklund not able to hang on to what looks like a draw. The draw is off the cards though, because we will first have golden point. Another 10 or so minutes of rugby until they get to that draw stage. And Bay as you lol says for pie. And we have got the A out on the full. And whose ball? It is going to be the scrum feed for the Crusaders. Looks like Angus Tarville just giving a little bit of advice to Tui Pilotu as he makes his way onto the field just to do with those scrums. But 5 minutes left. I don't know who's going to win this. Like at the moment, the Blues look more likely. But the Crusaders, how many times have they been in a game where they've gone on to score a final minute try or get a last minute penalty that secures them the game? Like this is such an important one for the season of both these sides. Crusaders want to stay at number one. And then in terms of the Blues, they need this win just to get that little bit closer to the top 8. Looks like O'Connor, he's going to sink the slipper into it. That is a very good kick. Fantastic, in fact. Gets the Crusaders back into the half of the Blues. To have him to make his way onto the field at these important moments. Golden point is still on. I thought a tie is a tie. Says for pie. So yeah, they go golden point. And then after that, I think it's 10 minutes worth of rugby that if no one can score, in fact, it might even be longer than that. It might actually be 10-minute halves. Then if no one scores from there, then it's a draw. James O'Connor shouldn't be allowed to play in New Zealand. Like, shouldn't be allowed to play in New Zealand or for New Zealand, Kiwi Rob. Oh, that wasn't the straightest line out from the Blues, but it was straight enough. Mark Talia. Oh, this is a good chance for him to go up, and he's taken it beautifully there. And now going for the kick in behind from Taufafunaki, trying to play territory. Awkward bouncing ball for JOC, claimed by Reese, who will sink it downfield. And that is a massive kick as well. And it is not out on the full. I think they just want to check this one, Babs. How many points for a draw? I believe it's 2. Might even be 3 because you're within 7, but I could be wrong. But yeah, either 2 or 3. Right. It's going to be setting it up now. They're showing Sevu Reese's kick. He was inside of the 22. Under pressure too. So the thing is, the Crusaders won the first 5 minutes of the second half. Then from there, it was 25 minutes of all Blues. Now, it seems like the Crusaders are taking it back a little bit. Talia's got a limp. That's not good news for this Blues side. And Bowden can drop goal, believe me, says Spider-Mick. And come on, the Blues, says Vincent. The Blues can just never close out games, although that's nicely claimed by Tui Pilotu as they sit inside of their half. Barrett again will sink it into the sky. Will Jordan waiting for this one. Hasn't taken it cleanly, but well and truly, if you wanted a deflection, it's gone perfectly as it's gone to Che Fiaki. Awkward bouncing ball. Barrett lets it, he lets it go into the in-goal area, then almost knocks it on in the process of putting it down. 2 minutes remaining. Golden point could be on the cards. Where does Fijian draw playing? They are playing at 2:05 p.m. tomorrow at home up against the Waratahs. It's 1 point each for a draw. Is it? You only get 1 point. Oh, and I guess it's probably 2 points because of for being within 7, I would assume. Now Will Jordan taking it on the halfway line. Christian Leo Willie going forward. Hoskins, the 2-2 wants the turnover. No one can afford to give away a penalty now, because if you do, it might just cost your side the game. James O'Connor for the drop goal, says for Pye. They may attempt it if they have a penalty advantage, but currently they are 45 metres out from the line here, the Crusaders. George Bauer moves forward nicely. Choke trying to lock himself over the ball. Why is he kicking that? Preston does go high. It's taken by Zahn Sullivan. And the Blues have got the ball back 40 metres out from the line. That was one of the stupidest kicks I think I've seen in quite some time. Bowden Barrett, he kicks it as well. He might as well. Everyone's doing it. Nice take from Will Jordan. Inside of the 22, he will look for a 50-22 kick, but it goes to Bowden Barrett. 1 minute remaining on the clock. He will look to run it. Moves up to the halfway line, picked up, finds his offload to Taufa Funaki. Wrestled down by Corey Callow. Ball bounces out the side. Ioane knocks it on. And now 45 seconds remaining. It will be the scrum in the middle of the park, 40 or so metres out. And now, if the Crusaders win the penalty, James O'Connor, you would think, would kick it over. They did win the last scrum penalty, but the Blues, they will put in an almighty shove here. You have to agree. AFL kicking, or now all the kicking. Says Alan, yeah, I don't understand why Preston decided to get rid when they had the ball probably 35, if not closer, to the Blues line. All they needed was to wait for the Blues to give away an offside penalty or something along those lines. Right, super point. There will be 5 minutes between full-time and super point kickoff. First team to score either a try, penalty goal, or a drop kick will be the winner. And after 10 minutes, neither team has scored. The game will be a draw. So that's the information that we need to know, ladies and gentlemen. The clock has just struck 80, which means this is going to be the last chance of the day, at least in regular time. How bad is the wind? Wind's not terrible in Christchurch at the moment, but the ball is put in. Fletcher Newell has been dominating scrums all day. They've got the penalty advantage, and now James O'Connor will have the chance to kick to win the game. If he misses, golden point. If he gets it, Crusaders win. Is there golden point time? There certainly would be if this kick from James O'Connor misses. But he got his last one straight down the middle. Noah should have had the full game. Preston is nervous, says for fight. And that's the thing, some people forget. Kyle Preston has only had like 4 games, maybe 5. Preston, the unforgivable rugby skin, kicking away the ball over halfway, says smash, although it might not cost them here. And that is if they get this kick over. Penalty advantage, done penalty Auckland, and go O'Connor, says Tavuki in there. But the clock has reached 0. The probability is 75%. Now, it does look like the Crusaders are ready to chase after this one for the sake of if he misses, they may still be able to get some sort of deflection, like if it hits the post. But now the chance to win the game for the Crusaders after 80 minutes. And he does strike it now, once again, right down the middle. And James O'Connor is able to convert the penalty. And the Crusaders win 25 points to 22. And he's got it. Says David the Mod, and O'Connor's legs are shaken, missed by 4 metres. Says Spider Mick, how far out? About 40, or in fact it was a little bit closer in the end, about maybe 37, 38. But he does get it over. Cool, calm and collected. And the Crusaders, I mean, this has been quite the start to the round. That was longer than 30 seconds, says Kiwi Rob. That sounds like an argument to have with the Mrs. Kiwi Rob rather than about James O'Connor's kick. And JOC is a real good signing for the Crusaders, I reckon. Says Kerno, I reckon, what a game. Yeah, a great way to start the round of Super Rugby. The Blues will still get themselves 1 point from this contest. Severy Reese well and truly happy about it. I think Crusaders, great win. I told you so, thank you, says Roland. And the Chokers, says Vito Scucks there. The Blue season done. It is not done yet, though, because they get a bonus point from this game. They've still got 5 matches to go. So theoretically, if they were to win all of their games from here, the Blues, they would get themselves another 25 points added on top of their 17. They'd finish with 42. So it just shows you how much time is left. But the Blues are now sitting with a 33% win rate. The Crusaders, they are sitting top of the bunch. They didn't get the bonus point, which does mean if the Chiefs beat the Highlanders by 3 or more tries, they will move back into that number 1 spot. But it's going to be quite a battle for that top 6 by the end of the season. We have got, though, don't worry, James, New Zealand will issue citizenship for you to play for the AB, says for Pi. And we have get up the mighty Crusaders, says Chris. And Blues have improved massively. Blues season is over. On to the NRL, says Raphael. The referee was shocking, says Kiwi Rob and GT Game, says Mr. All in a great win. Thanks for the commentary. No worries at all. And 4 wins in 30 games in Christchurch. I hate that stat, says Vic Mars. And great call, Hammy. All 4 minutes of it I caught, says Drape. And what a game, says Glenn. Yeah, if all the other games in this round are going to be like this, we're in for a good round of Super Rugby Pacific. But, yeah, extremely close between these two sides. And like I said, first start of the second half, Crusaders' first 5 minutes was all theirs. The Blues, though, really came back into it. When they were down by 12, they brought it back to 19-19, and they had all of the chances just inside of the Crusaders' 22. They had about 4 line-out attempts that were failures. They didn't take 3-pointers earlier on in the contest and instead went for the corner and came up short. So it's just one of those interesting scenarios for the Blues. It cost them in their game earlier on in the season by going for the corner rather than 7, and they felt like they needed it here up against the Crusaders, but they'll still be relatively happy, I would think, with how this one did end up going. See you tomorrow, and Blues are not done, but the Reds loss will make that very difficult. Exactly right. I think that game up against the Reds next week becomes a must-win. But, yeah, it's going to be a pretty big one. I don't think we should be allowed to bring in Aussie players or overseas players, says Kiwi Rob. I mean, if you want to write a letter to Super Rugby, I'm sure they'll throw it straight in the bin, but it could be worth a crack. You might get 5 people sign it. South Africans must wish they were back in Super Rugby. I don't know. I think they're loving the URC at the moment. We get to see some brilliant matchups. We also get to see them a part of the Champions and Challenge Cup, which is something that Super Rugby didn't give them the opportunity to do. We will be covering the Sharks game in only about maybe 10 hours' time, or in fact less than that, up against Edinburgh. How did the Blues go from number 1 in 24 to bottom now? It's the curse. I mean, the Crusaders did it the year prior. They went from number 1 to missing out on the playoffs. And now it seems like the Blues, it's too early to say they're going to miss out. But I do hope they can start stringing some wins together. We don't need the South Africans in Super Rugby or Rugby Championship. Well, Rugby Championship, I'd say absolutely we do. If it was the Tri-Nations between New Zealand, Australia, and Argentina, I just don't think it would be the same. Suck it up, the Blues play well. I'll be proud of your team, says Demon. Yeah, they had some really good moments in this game, the Blues. And it's just about putting together, that one little moment. Hometown ref in the pocket, deciding the match. Not in this case. Nick Berry, the Reds referee. And as you know, the Reds and the Crusaders rivalry is quite deep. The Reds have always been one of those sides that have found ways of beating the Crusaders. So I don't think there would have been that side of the bias in it. But nonetheless, 3-point difference between these two sides. We are going to be live, like I mentioned, in about 8-9 hours' time for that next contest taking place between the Sharks and Edinburgh. So if you are new, sure leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you all for the next one.